Welcome back to the Turnbuckle Tavern and another edition of our Visits to Tavern, live from the No Sale Studios. I'm the ace of the Tavern, Acefield Retro, and I'm joined today by the Smooth Soldier, Shawn Knyte. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Dude, this is a pleasure, man. I know we met at Remarkable, like we were just talking off on air, but wanted to have you on for a bit. I love what you're doing on the indies, and I can't wait to get into it.
Definitely, bro. I'm excited.
All right, so we're just about the end of February when this is airing. This is the first weekend of March coming up. But as we wrap up February, we're moving further into 2023. You've worked so far this year, Wrestling Open, Remarkable was the first one of the year, Fight Life, and Black Label Pro. How would you describe the first 2 months of 2023 as we're just getting started?
Successful, lovely. I mean, I've been enjoying it every step of the way. This year so far has been a year of experiencing and learning and developing. Like each year is like that, but this year I feel like it's been happening at a more rapid pace.
Yeah, and we watched 2022 go away, and you had a lot of bookings throughout there, and it seems like the same places are being cycled through. You here in the Northeast, and you call New Haven home. You guys see it in the background. We got some New Haven loves you. We found some New Haven backdrop for you guys. We're going to talk about the local indies in Connecticut because I think they deserve the love because we talk a lot about New York and New Jersey, but Connecticut is just as much on fire.
Facts.
All right, so let's get into your moniker. I introed you here as the Smooth Soldier, Shawn Knyte. Can you get into the influence and where that came from and explain to, just in general, like?
The Smooth Soldier. Honestly, it came about from my peers because I would be moving around the ring like with Dustin, Kai, Jay, and we train the same way. We all like learn the same moves, all the same basics, all the same advanced moves. And whenever they saw me doing certain things, they would just be like, "Oh, that's mad smooth," or like I would come to the back and I would hear Ichiban like, "Oh yeah, that was smooth." Like they would just tell me like the things that I'm doing are smooth. I'm thinking I'm just in there doing my thing, and I'll watch it back. I'm like, okay, that was a little smooth. Okay. Like a little dirt off my shoulder. Like, oh, all right, I'm feeling myself. You feel me? So I was just like, all right. Originally I wanted to be called the Smooth God because one of my nicknames is Shim God, but people weren't rocking with it too much, and it just doesn't come off as smooth as the Smooth Soldier. So you feel me?
Yeah, I do feel you on that. So you guys can follow Shawn Knyte at x.shimmy.215 on Instagram. Give him a follow and check out all the future bookings and the Smooth Shoulders all over the place. So you mentioned tag teaming and you mentioned JAY ONYX. You guys are one half of the Haven. And the Haven is, I assume, a reference to being from the Connecticut area, New Haven specifically. But what exactly is the story about you two teaming up and coming up with the name once you guys are an official tag team?
Me and Jay, we literally started training together as a tag team. So like we came into this off rip as a tag. Like originally our name wasn't gonna be the Haven. We had like 1,000 other names that we wanted to be called, but nobody, like our trainer and like other our peers, like our veterans, they didn't think the names clicked with us. And well, we had probably a month before we debuted, and we were just cycling through names, and we couldn't think of anything. So we were just at training one day, and it just clicked like a light bulb. I'm like, we're from New Haven. We'll just be called the Haven. Simple as that. Like everybody's gonna like it. Like our hometown is gonna rock with it because it has the same name, and it's just representing where we were born and raised, like where we met up at. Miracle Generation as a faction, like where we met. And it's just like all the memories, everything that we grew up with, we're taking on this journey with us through wrestling.
Yeah, and I love that it's chantable. That's a lot of the stuff in wrestling where people can chant along with it, like "Let's Go Haven," and the same thing with your name, Shawn Knyte. It's chantable. You want the people to be able to say it aloud, and hopefully you get arenas chanting it from near and wide. So I do like the name myself, and I like the pairing with Miracle Generation, all that. And you are 1/4 of Miracle Generation, which is awesome. And I've had the pleasure of working with Dustin and yourself and Kylon King throughout the last few months, and everybody continues to impress in the independents. We just saw Dustin and Kylon win the Remarkable Tag Team Championships this weekend at better than the best too.
Yes, congrats to the
How did
boys.
your relationship come about when you first started working with those two guys as well? So you mentioned you started training with Jay, but what about with Dustin and Colin?
With Dustin, we met at PAPW. That was like our very first interaction with each other. I honestly cannot tell you our very first interactions. What I can tell you is that, like all little brothers are, at least I'm a single child, so I wouldn't know like actually, but I'm assuming all little brothers are very annoying. And Dustin was he was that little brother that was just so annoying. And he wasn't annoying because of like anything that he did or would say like just irked me. It was like one of those things where when we were younger, uh, we would be like, "Yo, bro, we saw like Ricochet do this, you can do that too," or we saw this person do this, like, "Bro, you can do that. Like you're mad athletic," and he just be like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it." And we're like, "Bro, what? like, like go do it, bro. Like, stop being scared. Like, what are you scared for?" Nah, I can't do it. And like stuff like that would hurt me. And it was other little things, but it is little bro at the end of the day, and like that just made our bond stronger. Like, that's my guy. Um, Kylon is a different story. Kylon was actually the first person I met out of all the Miracle Generation.
Oh wow.
So, and I think I told this story like on another podcast, but me and him actually met through our moms when we were, I don't even know. I want to say like maybe 6, 7 years old, because I think they worked together or they worked under the same company and they were friends. And then they took us on a hike together. And I remember the hike. I remember going on the trip with some other kid. I just didn't know that kid was Kylon
Wow.
until like a year or two into us training, and our moms like saw each other. No, my mom saw him and was like, "Oh, do you know who that is?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Kai." Like, I trained with him. Like, and then she was like, "No, like, do you know who he is?" Like, I know his mom, him, da da da, and then told us the story. And then his mom told him the story. We came back to training, like, "Bro, like, we known each other for years."
It all makes sense now.
Yeah. So it was a
Dude,
nice like roundabout.
that's crazy, man. And just shows you like wrestling sometimes is serendipity where you like knew these people and they're like meant to be in your life. And it felt that way when you guys interact. I mean, you guys are like the closest of friends, and seeing you on social media. There's a thing that Dustin posted of the four of you guys being in the car for the first time in a long time on the way to Black Label Pro in Indiana, which was All My Friends Are Enemies. Any stories from that car trip? I know they snapped a picture of you sleeping, but any stories about being on the road on these long drives, because making towns and stuff, there's got to be something to keep you guys entertained.
Yeah, going to Black Label, not a lot of story from me because I was sleeping for the time. But on the way there, I think I drove like the last few hours getting there, and just as always, it's just fun bonding as brothers. You feel me? Um, Obviously we're not blood related, but like just building that bond and like just seeing how like strong our connection is even after we haven't all traveled together. Because even with like going up to Wrestling Open every Thursday, the four of us don't travel together. Me and Dustin mainly drive up together for the most part, but like him and Kylon are like the tag champions over there. They don't even drive up together every week. So like just seeing or just having all four of us together in the car, especially for a 13-hour drive. I think
Right.
the longest drive that we've done was um like I think it was 5 or 6 hours up to Maine for Let's Wrestle. And that I'm sure you've probably seen all on Twitter, Facebook. We went there, I think it was the first time we went, came on our way back, we were driving and there was snow outside, cold as hell, and we just started smelling rubber. This is in my car, by the way. We just started smelling rubber. And I'm asking them, I'm like, "Do y'all smell that?" They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right, let me pull over for a second." Pull over, get out and check the tire. We have a popped tire. Um, it didn't feel popped. I didn't hear anything pop. The car kept driving fine. We just smelled burnt rubber. And
Wow.
then yeah, we didn't see the hole at first, but like we drove around to like some other places, like to some gas stations, like trying to, mind you, this is like 11 o'clock at night, probably maybe 12 o'clock at night. We literally just left the gas station getting food and stuff and gassing up the car. And then yeah, we just rode around by like I want to say 1 in the morning. We were at this 24-hour gas station, got our flashlights out. We're trying to like fill up the tire, like nothing's working. Mind you, Jay's in the back sleeping the whole time. So it's just me, Kai, and Dustin up doing this. And by the time we got to the 24-hour gas station, Kai was knocked out. So just me and Dustin. And he looks like behind the tire, I think you'd say. Behind the tire. And there's just a hole like this big in the tire. We're like, yeah, there's no way we're filling that up.
Wow.
Like, we're in the middle, not in the middle of kind of was in the middle of nowhere, but nobody was about to come this late to like come and help us. There was no like tow trucks. Like I think we called somebody and they said they wouldn't be there till like 5 a.m.
Wow.
And there was a tire repair shop. I think it was O'Reilly's. They were like 5-10 minutes down the street, and they opened at 6 o'clock in the morning. So we were like, by the time the tow truck comes here, we could just wait till 6 and just drive on our way over there on this flat ass tire like we've been doing for the past hour and a half.
Right.
So did that, went and got another tire. And more of the story, check your tires, because I thought I was driving on an extra tire. Whole time it was on a donut. And I've been driving on this for like the past month or so thinking it was a regular tire. And one fateful night, it just wanted to pop.
Yeah, dude, I know you said you're in Maine, but like even the roads here, I'm on Long Island, and the roads are horrendous, especially during the winter. It feels like they just get worse and worse each year. I'm not sure what they're like in Connecticut, but they'll wear and tear anytime that tire can just go out. So you're right. Check the tires, guys.
Worst streets in Connecticut, as far as I know, Waterbury streets. Potholes everywhere.
It's crazy, man. But what's the conversation like in car rides like that? I mean, my mind goes to, obviously there's only so much wrestling you guys can talk about, only so much dissecting you can do of your matches, but you guys talk about movies, music. I know you guys are really close, so I'm sure you share some interest.
We go through, honestly, for like the Black Label trip, what I can remember for the most part is us, like, we'll play like wrestling games. So like we'll do games where it's like say the name of a wrestler, and then so for example, I'll say Randy Orton, right? Now you have to name a wrestler whose name starts with an O, because Randy's last name ended with an O. So now
all right, so I got one. Ortiz. So Z's tough.
Ortiz. Otis.
All right. Otis ends in an S, so Shawn Knyte.
Yeah. So on and so forth. So
awesome.
Yeah, we did that. And I spiced it up a little bit. I did like, I wanted to do wrestling moves instead of wrestlers' names, so it made everybody really think.
Right.
And then yeah, as far as I'm trying to really, I have like bad short-term memory, so I'm trying to really like remember exactly what we talked about. But yeah, it's always fun driving with the boys.
So you mentioned Wrestling Open, and Brother Greatness was on here about a week ago or so, and he was discussing the atmosphere at White Eagle. And I'll ask you the same question. I mean, it seems like something special is building over them beyond. You mentioned every Thursday forever, but there's been a real momentum of the same people showing up. Some people actually like traveling out of state to go to Worcester to check out these Wrestling Open shows that are happening weekly. But what's your feeling on what's going on there?
Like you said, it is something special. It's something that's been growing and continuing to grow. Like this past Thursday was started from the bottom, which is what this show is all about, was starting from the ground up with all new faces. Like you didn't have, like, we had a lot of like bigger stars coming in, but for the most part, Wrestling Open is all these like the new young hungry generation coming up, and like we're trying to like fight for our spots and like keep those spots at the moment. And it's beautiful, honestly. And like seeing like my boys Kai and Flash, Ichi get their shine and stuff, and like even us like doing what we've been doing, and just everybody growing into who they're meant to be as a wrestler. Like,
Yeah, it was awesome to see Dustin get some love from Leo Rush on the Chris Van Vliet podcast about the match they had. And that's just one of many matches that are happening on a week-to-week basis. So if you guys have IWTV, if you don't, subscribe to it. Check out Wrestling Opening every Thursday. Shawn Knight is there. I mean, almost every Thursday at this point, you and Jay are teaming up against somebody, right?
For the most part, yes.
It's awesome. So, yeah, I got to make it out to Worcester to one of these shows. It's just a long drive, and on a Thursday on a work week, it's challenging, I'm sure. I mean, long drives, but it's worth it to check it out. So you guys do the same. But your first show of the year in 2023 was the opening scramble match at Sky's the Limit. We saw Dustin and Kylon, as we mentioned before, take home the Remarkable tag straps. You worked Remarkable twice at this point. I think 2 matches, one back, a couple months ago or early in 2022. But how does working Remarkable compare to working some other independents that you do all over Connecticut and maybe, like we mentioned, Worcester?
It's different. Just being in the New York area is honestly different. Like the crowd is different. They get very into it. Like how do I say? It's easy. It's a little easier than other crowds. Like Western Open, those are fans. Like some of them you have to like work to really like capture them. The same thing with Remarkable, but once they get into it, like they're into it, which is with a lot of crowds or every crowd. But for the scramble show, it was different for me just because that was one of I have very few like singles matches, and that was my first like 6-man scramble.
Mm-hmm.
So being in the ring, it was like it wasn't intimidating. It felt natural at this point. Like being in the ring feels natural now. But being in a 6-man scramble was like now I have to like think about I don't have anybody watching my back. I have to think about all these guys. Like I don't know any of them. Like what are they gonna do to me? What am I gonna like do to counter what they're doing? And it was fun, honestly. One of the guys that I didn't get to really do anything with in the ring, but I would love to have done was Fane. I think his name Michael Fane.
Yeah, Michael Fane. He was in the Rumble on All in One, the PFB present, future, and the best. I think the Michael Fane, good guy.
Yeah, I saw some of his Ring of Honor. I mean, not Ring of Honor, House of Glory work.
Yeah,
and there were a few times where we had a quick standoff, but nothing came about. So hopefully, sometime in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been working Remarkable the last few months, so maybe you guys can do one-off singles match. I would love to see that go on there. That'd be amazing.
Hopefully.
So a few weeks back, you worked a match at Fight Life in Rhode Island at a brewery, tagging with Jay, defeating, I think it was Sean Leiter and Stephen Lust in a tag match. So for those unfamiliar, most people listen to this podcast. I mean, Turnbuckle Tavern is all over, guys from all over the United States and some out of the country. But we talk a lot about the Northeast in terms of New York and New Jersey. But tell us about what's going on at Fight Life and why people should be checking out at Rhode Island.
Fight Life is another one of those companies that's like up and coming, and it has a lot of like the newer faces, and it has some more well-known faces coming into it. But it's one of those mixtures. It's not like the known faces just coming in and going against other known faces. Is known faces coming in and going against like the younger dudes, and like I said, the hungrier generation that's coming up. Like, when was it? I think our second match there, it was Miracle Generation, me, Jay, and Kylon versus Young, Dumb, and Broke. And that's definitely a match you guys should go check out. That match was some heat. I enjoyed myself in that one.
Where can people find that? Is that on YouTube?
They have their own website, I believe. If they're not on, let me see.
Yeah, but I'll definitely share if you have the link for it. I'll definitely share it for everybody to check out. And Fight Life in Rhode Island. Like, we don't talk enough about the different states. I know New York and New Jersey area get the most love. And you mentioned the crowds. What's the difference in the crowds of Connecticut and say Rhode Island compared to New York, New Jersey? Are they hard, like, who's easier, I guess, to when you go out there? I mean, the approach has to be a little bit different with the fans that you're used to, right?
Absolutely. Like, the hometown crowd is always like the easiest. They just, as soon as they hear, oh, from New Haven, Connecticut. Even where was it for interspecies wrestling? We're over in East Haven in December, and that was my debut for interspecies. I was in a fatal four way, and I was the last person to come out. Everybody got introduced. They were from like Massachusetts, New York, wherever, and then they announced me from New Haven, Connecticut. Big pop, crowd went crazy, and in my head, I'm like, they've probably never seen me before. Like, this is a
Yeah.
Canadian company. Like, why do they? And then it clicked. I was like, oh yeah, we're in East Haven. Like, it's just like something about just being here, and they just love it. They love it. Um, but then like going out to Rhode Island, honestly, like Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, because of us being in XWA, a lot of people surprisingly know us. Like the last Fight Life show, there was this kid that came up to us and was like, "Oh, can you guys sign this for me?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." And as we're signing this picture, he was like, "Yeah, I remember you guys from XWA. I used to go like every week." We were like, "Oh,
Wow,
word?"
that's awesome.
Like, yeah, like you don't realize how many people are watching you, honestly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned the training with Jay in the beginning, and uh, I'm assuming I was looking doing my research. I found that Jay was training with Paul Roma and Mario Mancini at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. Is that where you were training as well?
All four of us,
All four of
me,
you. So,
Jay, Dustin, and Kylan, were all from there.
so I guess tell the story about how you got into that and just the entry level. I mean, was it just a Facebook ad or like researching on Google, or like how did you find your home in there with Paul Roma and Mario Mancini?
So this is literally the whole backstory with me and Jay. Um, Me and him were working together at our camps summer at our church's summer camp, and randomly, like we were cleaning up after the kids, we just started talking about wrestling. And he was like, "Oh, you like wrestling too?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I love it. Like I'm looking for a school to like start training and stuff." This is like 2016, 2017. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a school to start training." One school I had went to, they had closed down, so I was like, "Damn, gotta look for another school. I don't know where to look." And I think he was living in East Haven at the time, and he was going to East Haven High School. So one of the security guards that worked there actually is partially an owner for PAPW, and he would give Jay like free tickets to go to the shows. And once Jay started doing that, he started bringing me along. So we would go to the shows. Just be like, "Oh wow, like we're like saying here, like it's not WWE or like Ring of Honor or TNA or anything like that, but like we're seeing all these guys like right before our eyes, like damn, like we can do this. Like it's literally right here in our home." Like, and then we would talk to some of the guys after the show, and they said that they had a school, and we're like how do we get into that? They told us, and then we would go to show after show. They're like, "When you guys coming down to the school? When you guys are coming down to the school?" Finally, went down to the school, talked to Mario, talked to Paul, got all the business done, signed the contracts, and took off from there. And it was honestly, I'm not gonna say easy because this is not easy. It's not easy. This is not like if you really don't have it in your heart to want to like really be a professional wrestler and want to like put your body through this like each week, like on a daily basis, is is gonna be even harder. But it was fun. And then just like I said, like meeting Dustin, reuniting with Kai, and all of us just building that bond, building that like trusting each other to get in the ring and like um take care of each other's bodies during practice. Like it was it was something special.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like the journey really only starts, and you mentioned the passion for wrestling, and I'm assuming, the original passion started as a fandom for you. So do you remember your earliest memory of when you saw wrestling, when you're like, maybe not that you wanted to do this, but when you realized this is something I really enjoy and it's something I want to continue to pursue?
My very earliest memory, like it's faint, but I just remember The Rock and Stone Cold and and being at the New Haven Coliseum for some show. I want to say maybe Raw or SmackDown. Like when I was like very young, because my mom and her sisters watched wrestling before I was even born, so they just threw me right into it. I would be watching it Mondays. I think SmackDown came on Thursdays back then. Um, and then like on my bookshelf right here, I have like documentaries for Randy Orton, Edge, Batista, Undertaker. Like I would just watch all those and be like, damn, like I really want to do this. Like I remember I think it was a Randy Orton documentary, the Randy Orton documentary I was watching. I was just standing in front of my TV watching. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna
Wow.
do it. Like it's set in stone. I was probably like 8, 9 years old, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this one day.
That's awesome. And I mean, looking at those guys, I mean, you mentioned those guys, so I'm assuming they're kind of grouped into this amount of people, but who were your favorites growing up? I mean, were they Batista, Orton, those guys, or were there any other guys you want to include in that list that were just like, holy crap, I need to watch them week to week?
In no particular order, I'll give you 5. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, and Edge.
Wow.
Those are guys that I looked up to. Triple H specifically because he was like one of the bigger dudes. So like him, Batista, Randy. I thought I was gonna be a big dude, like something when I got older, because my dad and my uncles are all like 6'1", 6'2", and I'm here at 5'8". So
what's your favorite iteration of Triple H? Were you like I'm trying to think of like, were you the Lemmy Motorhead guy when he had just the mustache and no chin, or are you like when he's clean shaven as the world champion?
the clean shaven was very creepy to me. The the handlebars, it was fine. The clean shave, I like the clean shave when he had the purple tights on and the white boots. That was fire.
All right, that's like the Booker T feud-ish, right?
Yeah.
That was the 2003-ish, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. But more what? I think I was like more in the DX era, like Triple H. That the game, that was more of my version of him, like my favorite because of like the whole tag team. I really like DX. Like that's one of my favorite tag teams, and I try to like take some things from them, incorporate it into us as much as we can. So
yeah, I see a lot of parallels with Miracle Generation and DX because you guys can stand alone as a tag team, but there's a full faction of you guys, you know, for if you ever have to do 4-on-4, and you had the Miracle ones involved too. You guys are like, you roll deep. So
yeah,
you guys got a lot of them. So, and then, I mean, going back to Triple H for a sec, it's just like his story is so fascinating to watch. You know, we do a show here in Turnbuckle Tavern about Shad Nostalgia, and it's talking about wrestling of the past. And we covered 1995 or 1996 WCW. And that's around the time where he left WCW, went over to WWF, and he started the Greenwich Snob stuff. And he's first mentioning that like he's trying to sign with WWF, and to see from that moment, he becomes like the literal boss from 96 into 2023. Who would have known that?
yeah.
It's just insane. Like the trajectory, he was just talent. And all of a sudden he's the guy pulling the strings at the, you know, in the big chair now, which is insane.
It's crazy, man. You never know where wrestling can take you.
No, that's exactly right. I guess that's the point. I mean, he had this, like, I wouldn't say an ideal gimmick. I'm sure he wasn't like looking in the mirror when he was a kid, like, I'm going to be the Greenwich Snob, you know, coming out with my nose up, similar, whatever, waving people off. And then he becomes who's more badass in the game? You know what I mean? Walking out, spitting the water. That's crazy. So, are you following the current product right now? Are you watching wrestling week to week? I know you're wrestling a lot, but are you an AEW guy, WWE guy? You watching Impact, New Japan?
I try to keep up when I can. AEW from time to time, more WWE just because that's what I grew up with. So I try to stick with it. I enjoy TNA, so I'll like see clips here and there. And then New Japan, I'll try to keep up with as well as like the Ring of Honor shows that have been going on.
Yeah, and Ring of Honor comes back. By the time this aired, they already had that first show. It's going to be Claudio versus AR Fox for the ROH Championship. And, you know, no spoilers, but there was some crazy stuff that went down on the taping. So I'm looking forward to ROH being back under like the Tony Khan, you know, era. So we talked about some of the wrestlers you like, but as far as being in the ring, you talk about, you know, size and body and all that stuff. Who are you watching today pulling tape to say you want to fine tune some stuff, or maybe try something new in the ring, or who are you pulling tape from on YouTube to maybe find something new to do?
Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, just for the lucha stuff. I love like the wheelbarrow arm drags. A lot of the arm, like, I don't know how, I guess like I just was very smooth with the arm drags. So like that just became my thing, especially like in training, and then I just took off with it. Like last year, I would literally find different arm drags. Like if I didn't do it before, I was like, okay, that's nice. I can do it better. And then I went and did it. And like it would be like a weekly thing. Like weekly, every time I got into a ring, I would try a different arm drag. So
Who was the best arm drag in your opinion? Like if you like had to say top 10, I mean, most people probably say a guy like Eddie, a guy like Ricky Steamboat, but maybe someone different.
Nobody does it like Ricky Steamboat. It's just that's literally the arm drag that I learned how to do. And like once I got that rotation, I just every time like that was, I think that was one of my first wrestling related Twitter posts, was a picture of my arm drag next to Ricky Steamboat's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I literally took that from him. Called the Shimmy Steamboat.
There you go. I love it. So we talked about the Northeast in general, and like it's truly a hub for pro wrestling. You mentioned all the young talent that goes to Wrestling Open, but all over the indies. I mean, even the guys that, you know, that started out, whether it be in Connecticut or Boston or Long Island or Jersey, they find their way rising to the top of cards of the AEW, WWE, like they're everywhere. What do you think that sets apart? You mentioned where you train, but the guys that you are surrounding yourself with, what do you think like sets this generation apart from maybe other places in the world? I mean, because Northeast, it speaks for itself, the success we're seeing. I mean, look at the world champion right now in AEWs from the Northeast. You know, that's something you can't deny at this point.
Honestly, I just wanted, the only thing that I could think of off the top of my head, and like a lot of other people would probably say this about their areas, just the passion and hunger that we share for this. Like I said, like doing this on a weekly basis is not easy, but if you love it, if you love the craft and like you want to like perfect everything that you do, and like you're really like trying to get to the top, like you're gonna find a way. And I feel like that's what everybody in the Northeast does. Like Carmelo Hayes, he's somebody that I really look up to because we met him at XWA literally a few weeks or like a month before he went off to NXT. And him and Kylan had a match, and then he came to the back afterwards and pointed to me and Jay and was like, "You two are next with me and my partner." And we were like, "Oh, word!" And then he went off to NXT. So we were like, "Damn!" So that I know this isn't like one of the questions, but that's like one of the dream matches that I have. That's like one of the goals that I have, is to finally, like, you know, reach his level where he's at right now and finally have that match.
Yeah, and we just saw his name pop up in the news. They're doing a loser leaves NXT stand and deliver at WrestleMania weekend, so against Braun Breaker. So it may be that he's going up to the main roster sooner than later. And like you said, he just got there, so it just shows how talented the dude is, that he's like ready already, especially in their eyes.
Right.
You mentioned some compliments, and that is a great compliment, but is there a compliment that pops in your mind, like after one of your matches or maybe during practice, that someone said to you that still rings in your head, that maybe you're having a tough day, you're like going back to what someone said to you? Can you think of a good compliment that someone threw your way?
What immediately comes to my mind is this. We were in, once again, it's XWA. I forget what match we just had, but we were selling merchandise, and this little girl comes up to me and Jay, and she's just like in straight tears. We're like, "What's going on?" And then like she could like really barely talk, but then she was just like, "Oh, like you guys are like my favorite." Like this is her first time meeting us. Like she was just like so excited and happy to see us, and thinking about that is just like, it's one of the reasons like to just like keep going no matter how hard times get or like how down I may be on myself. Is like that's what I do it for. Like at this point in my career, and I like try to stress this to like the rest of the Miracle generation. Like at this point, we're not just doing this for us; we're doing it for a whole bunch of other people as well.
That's awesome, man. And that like there's nothing better than that. And I was at a whole bunch of wrestling shows this weekend and seeing the genuine reactions from fans reacting to wrestling in real time. It's like it's something that it can't be replicated. That's what the art's about. And like when I can't even imagine on your end where like someone comes up to you and like they're touched to tears at that point. It's like, how do you not just want to keep going? That's amazing. So as far as mentors, and you mentioned the guys you're training with, and obviously your friends in wrestling, who's a person that you can text, like from maybe an older generation that you consider a mentor or a role model, that when, you know, you just want some feedback, or you just are like kind of in a rut and you want it figured out, who are you texting or asking for advice?
There are a few people. One of the people I will say is Thomas Santel. He's one of the trainers that's over at the bio training for Beyond now. And this is my first time like training with him, but beforehand, he had came on to one of the shows and I was talking to him backstage and got his information, and I'll send him matches here and there. I just sent him a match the other day actually. But yeah, he's one of the people I like to pick his brain, because for me, and it may not look like that in the ring, but I like to do more technical wrestling. Like, and he's very like crisp with that and like the mat work. So him, and he also trained at Test of Strength. I feel like I'm all over the place with what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
He also like did some trainings over at Test of Strength, which I wasn't able to be a part of, but like that's a good school as well. And hearing all the good things from them, training with him now is very like it's really like really that little things that we may miss in the ring, that when we actually do it, it makes everything a lot better, a lot more crisp, a lot more you get that connection with the crowd more. Like, so picking his brain is always good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's something like you brought up Randy Orton earlier and just popped in my brain. Everyone mentions, like almost every person I've talked to on here talks about Randy Orton is the best psychology in the ring as far as moving slow. And advice you hear from a lot of wrestlers, it's like, if you feel like you're moving slow, move slower, because everything moves so fast in the ring. And I'm sure you could speak to that, where you want to get your spots and you want to hit where you're supposed to, but everything happens so fast in the ring. You want to slow down and really methodically let the audience know what you're doing. So, I mean, just like you said, being methodical and technical is important.
Right.
So we always talk about the wrestling world, and it's ever changing over time. Like there's been certain eras of wrestling. I would say wrestling's in a better place, more inclusive place than ever at this point, as far as, you know, the environment. It's, you know, we hear the stories of the past of, you know, old ECW and old WWF about what went on in the locker rooms and stuff. But as far as like what you look at, if you had all the money in the world and you could make the wrestling world a better place, either by having your own promotion or changing something that you see, what would be, I guess, your go-to? What would be like something you'd change about wrestling and its culture, maybe?
You're gonna have to give me a little second to think about that.
No worries, dude.
I don't think there's really anything in particular that I would change. Maybe nothing that comes to mind at the moment, but like wrestling is just like, it's literally, and you may have heard the term before, like, it's different flavors of ice cream.
Yeah.
This person likes this type of wrestling, this person likes that type of wrestling. We both like this type of wrestling, but this is how I see it, this is how you see it. Like, this is what I like about it. Like, it's just wrestling's for any and everybody, honestly. And you just got to find the type of wrestling that speaks to you the most. So
yeah, I love that too, man. That's like, I mean, honestly, ice cream is the best way. I know everyone always says it, but it's the best way to quantify, because like all ice cream is good. Like we all love ice cream, but you like different flavors sometimes. So like you may, if you go to Carvel, you may pick out the whatever the equivalent of deathmatch ice cream is. And some people are like, I want Lucha and I also want the Bret Hart technical ice cream, or some people want it all, dude. Like that's GCW. So like, I love that. I love that analogy for sure. So we always cover, I mean, wrestling on Turnbuckle Tavern, we cover like the dirt sheets and all that stuff. Are you like, were you a kid growing up, like reading all the headlines on forums and stuff, following behind the scenes? Or were you more interested in the stuff going on the screen?
I was more interested on the stuff that was going on the screen as a kid. Like when I started training and learning the insides of the business, that's when I started being focused on more behind the scenes and started like growing and developing that mindset. But as a fan, like um I was just very oblivious. Not oblivious to it. I just didn't care for it as much because I just wanted to enjoy wrestling for what it was.
Right.
And like a lot of the politics that go on behind the scenes, like I wasn't too worried about it, honestly. I just enjoyed the entertainment aspect and was focused on how do I do it.
Right. Yeah, that's something. I mean, the drama of 2022 was like only topped by the beginning of 2023, and there's like constant turmoil and wrestling fans arguing about their favorite flavor of ice cream, if you want to put it that way. But I agree, man. Just enjoy the stuff on the screen and like go to your local indies, guys. If you're not enjoying the products that
Yes,
are happening on screen, like you're like so discouraged about WWE or AEW, find your local indie. There's great talent everywhere. You don't have to just watch what's on the screen. Or go to Worcester, guys, or just subscribe to IWTV. There's hours of content on there. So that's
absolutely.
what I would say to everybody.
Come out to Worcester every Thursday forever.
So this is a really hard one. It's not really, it doesn't have to be just wrestling. It could be any three people, but I have asked this in the past, but I feel like this would be an interesting answer from you. If you could have dinner or, just sit down with someone for a couple hours with any three people, whether they're still here, they're from the past, and have a conversation with them, and why would they be your choices?
Um, I'm trying to think of two more people because as soon as you said that, The Rock came to my mind. Like he's somebody like I would love to pick his brain just from how he started his career in wrestling and then went over to movies and now he's doing like the XFL. He has his own tequila, like he
Right.
just making bread out the ass. Like I would love to so The Rock, uh this may sound how do I say? This may sound like an answer just because of my race, but Barack Obama, um, just because he was the first African American president, and that's like that's a big deal, honestly, at
Yeah.
least in my eyes. I would just the type of how do I say? The word is eluding me right now, but just him doing that and having to like I feel like he was probably put under like a certain type of pressure,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
like, obviously just to like uphold like presidents of the past and stuff like that. Talk to him, pick his brain about that, see like how he overcame that. Because like as you know, my boy he went in there with a nice black fade and came out with the grays, so I know he was stressed.
Oh,
Um,
man.
and then one more person. Hmm. Uh, Chris Jericho. That's another one of my like he's on my list of like favorite wrestlers as well. So I'll say like Chris Jericho because he's reinvented himself over the years like so many times and like stayed like up to date with what he was doing and like now he's in AEW still going. Like it's dope as hell to see that. And that's something
Yeah.
that like I want to be able to do throughout my career, not just like stay known as the smooth soldier. Like I want to move on and like continue to grow and like be able to do this for years upon years.
Yeah, and that's the courage of Jericho to do that. Like so many guys in the past would just stay with their gimmick and it's successful. Why change it? But I mean, at this point, I think he has 8 to 10 changes, and they've all been super successful. And yeah, I mean, he is one of a kind. I mean, he's been doing it for almost, I mean, over 30 years at this point. But yeah, those are three great answers and all very, very possible too. They're all three alive right now. So, I mean, in the future, Shawn Knight and those guys having conversations. I love it. So we talked about the crying fan at the merch table coming up to you and crying, but I think about some interactions. I've seen some crazy stuff being the ring announcer for Remarkable in my short period of time, just of fans interacting with wrestlers and not knowing where the line is of like personal boundaries sometimes. And that's at all wrestling shows, guys and girls cross the line. But you have any stories about interesting interactions with fans at some of these shows? I've heard, and this is Bradley, Brother Greatness, talking about, he said those Worcester fans are built different. They're a little bit strange, saying, Hail Satan, chanting at him, all that stuff. But
yeah,
any interesting interactions with fans, not just in Worcester, anywhere?
Let me think. Personally, I haven't had any like of the weirder interactions. I do remember this was a funny one. Once again, as at XWA, I was getting my ass whooped by somebody. I think it might have been Danny Adam. I was in a singles match, and all I hear from the crowd is, "Come on, get up, Shawn. If you win, I'll give you some Skittles." And I was like, "Huh?" Skittles? Okay. I guess I'm winning this for Skittles right now. Okay, that's cool. And then, sure enough, I won the match. I'm walking back, and she just pours some Skittles in my hands. I'm like, all right, thank you.
Dude, Marshawn Lynch scores touchdowns off of Skittles, so maybe she's a Seahawks fan.
Maybe. And then there was another time I was at Chaotic. It was supposed to be me, Jay, and Ichiban going against the unit. Alley Catch, Trigger OG, and JT Dunn. But Jay couldn't make it. I forget what happened with him, but he couldn't make it. So we had a sub in with Landon Hale. And I'm not sure who it was, but somebody brought him like some candy. They brought him like Twix bars or something like that. And then after the match, we just go to the back, and he just comes up to me. Ichi is like, here you guys go." I'm like, Twix bars? All right, cool. I don't know what's up with everybody in like wrestling and candy, but there's some correlation going on.
That's funny, man. But yeah, I mean, good thing they're positive interactions, because I mean, people have some crazy stories, but the local indies will have their fair share of the good and bad stories. So hopefully it remains good, and you only get Skittles and Twix for the remainder of your career.
Right. Oh, also, there was one time at Wrestling Open. It wasn't like too much of an interaction, if you want to count it as one. What happened? I think it was either Dustin or Kai, maybe even Jay. Somebody was tagging me in, and I was rolling through the ropes. And as I went to squat down on the apron, I sat on somebody's head. I'm not sure who it was, but
well, they're hanging, dude. They're hanging. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, GCW kind of, but Wrestling Open, they're literally on the apron. So I mean,
it's literally right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Did the guy or girl say anything, or they were just like it's a wrestling show, they just like let it slide?
I literally just I squatted down. I felt head on my ass. I was like, okay. Rolled in the ring, and I was like, that was real weird, and hit it like drop kick in the corner. I went for the pin. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, okay, they're fine with it. Okay, cool, whatever. And I rolled, when I rolled back out, I was like, yo, my fault. They're like, right, cool.
I'm sure they tell their story to their friends anyway, so that's amazing. But wrestling's strange like that, where people, I went to a GCW show, and obviously light tubes are everywhere, and like I think it was Matt Tremont ran into somebody, and he was bleeding and got blood all over the girl's white shirt, and she was just cheering. Like, only in wrestling that you have that like interaction. Like, if that happened anywhere else in the world, you'd be mortified. But it's Matt Tremont's blood all over your white shirt. So,
right.
But yeah, very similar story. You mentioned about lasting a long time in wrestling and changing gimmicks and wanting to have the longevity, but when it's all said and done, say 40 years from now, when you're looking back on your career, how do you want people to remember Shawn Knight, the wrestler?
He was a cool dude, smooth in the ring, very smart in the ring.
I love that.
At the moment, that's what I want people to remember me for. And
I love it.
I hear it around a lot, like as far as going through the business, like just being a nice person. I already feel like I'm a nice person, so like and genuinely nice, not like just being nice to like get over or anything like that. Just genuinely nice, laid back. I don't do too much, so hopefully that's what people remember me for.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, you mentioned being nice. I mean, that's true everywhere. I mean, everyone just be nice to everyone around you and make you don't know what everyone's dealing with as well. Like if you're just
Right.
nice to somebody, even a small part, it can mean the world to them. So just make sure you guys do it. I love that positivity on your end.
A little compliment could go a long way, a long way. You never
For
know
sure.
who day you'll make off of just, oh, you have nice eyes, you have a nice smile, or like your nails, or like you have what you're wearing is nice. Like you really never know.
Right. So pizza gets a bad rap outside of New York, and you've been everywhere. This is your chance, man, to tell the doubters what is the best pizza in Connecticut, and why is it better than New York? Because I know people in Connecticut, you guys are loyal to your pizza.
Listen, I was about to say any pizza in Connecticut. Any pizza in New Haven, Connecticut is better than any pizza anywhere else. Trust
Wow.
me when I say that. Trust
I
me when I
mean,
say I
Shawn
still,
Knight's been everywhere, guys. He's been to New York. He's been to Jersey. He's spitting facts right now. I can't speak to it. I've never had Connecticut pizza, but
bro, I'm not gonna lie. I was so disappointed when I tried New Haven. I mean, not New Haven, New York pizza for the first time. I was so disappointed. All the hype behind it, I was just like, this is not
where in New
good.
York, though? Was it the city or was it Long Island or
Um,
because they're different. Like there's the Manhattan pizza and there's also Long Island pizza. They're two different animals.
I don't think I've had Manhattan and Long Island, but I think I've had Bronx and Jersey pizza, and those two were just well, it wasn't hitting. It wasn't hitting. But back to New Haven, places that I would say, obviously everybody knows Frank Pepe's. That's the best pizza in the world. Pepe's, we got modern pizza over here. We got my personal favorite growing up, Whaley Pizza. That's on Whaley Avenue. For those of you that know, yes, sir. Um, what other pizza places? We got like Brick Oven. Like we got a lot of different pizza joints, and they all just.
What about bagel love? You guys, I mean, again, Long Island, we're very true to bagels as well. You guys have good bagels there in Connecticut?
This place in Waterbury, actually, I forget exactly what the name of it is, but like they got like an award for like the best bagels, and like every morning, fresh bagels, and they do different ones. Like they do peanut butter jelly bagels,
Oh, wow.
like these different types of cream, cream cheese.
Yeah.
What kind of bagels? Like they got a lot of like different flavored bagels. I haven't been there in a while, but it's like they they're different and it's fresh every morning. And literally by like if you're not there before like 10:30, 11 o'clock, you'll probably be asked out. So
All right. Well, Shawn Knight needs to be sponsored by either the bagel shop or some pizza. The Miracle Generation sandwich needs to be at one of these places. Let's get it going, guys. I mean, I'm not even from Connecticut, but let's make it happen.
listen, Ninja Turtles is my favorite like show movies. So if any pizza spot want to sponsor me, I'm with it.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. And then you get pizza inspired gear, and then it's all, put the pizza logo on. It writes itself.
Literally.
If you're listening in New Haven, Connecticut, open opportunity. Figure it out, guys.
Listen, right here. Can't get no better.
So part of this show, Shawn, is talking about future stars such as yourself, and we talked about a lot of them today. You mentioned some names, but in an official capacity, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about 3 wrestlers or more that you want to give some love and say who people should check out and why.
Obviously, I'm gonna say Miracle Generation. Like we just go crazy. I'm gonna put that as one. Miracle Generation as a whole, like we just go crazy. We're very as 4 different individuals bring 4 different styles to you, and when we get together in the ring, it's just it is just a whole bunch of flavors combining and just going crazy. Shout out my boy Ichiban. He's very don't know, like the way he moves in the ring, like every time I see him, it's just like, damn, he's just real crisp and like on point with all the stuff that he does. And then shout out my boy Marcus Mathers, man. He been doing his thing too. Young prodigy. He's the youngest out of all of us, I think. Yeah, because Dustin's the youngest out of all American generation, and then Marcus is younger than him. So yeah, he been doing his thing, going around GC Dub. I think he was on a GCW show today.
I
Earlier.
think ETU against Jordan Oliver, but yeah, Jordan
ETU,
Oliver.
Yes. ETU. Oh, and then also, I'm not sure when their match was or when it will be tonight, but Dustin and Kai going against Violence is Forever for the IWTV straps tonight on Beyond. I'm hoping my boys win it. They deserve it.
Hell yeah, those guys are guys to check out, and make sure you guys check out Wrestling Open. You can catch Shawn Knyte there every Thursday forever. And also stay tuned to his Instagram at x.shimmy.215 to make sure you guys get all the updated bookings. Buy some merch. Buy that sweet Haven hoodie he has on. Where can they get that? Pro Wrestling Tees?
No. So all these, get them by hand. So if you're in Worcester, if you pop out at Fight Life, whenever we're at Chaotic, any shows that you see us at, we got hoodies, shirts, and we have some new merch dropping. Stay in tune for that. So yeah, hit me up in the DMs. Let me know sizes, colors, all that.
Yeah, that one's I like the green one a lot.
Thank you. A lot of people like this. Yeah. Like a lot of people
great too.
Really like the pink. Like this, I think we sold more pink ones than black and green. So
see, like I enjoy that shit because it's there's so much black wrestling merch. Like I love that it's a different color and it stands out and people look at it because I do like the pink one a lot. Right. So dude, thanks for joining me. This has been amazing. But before I let you go, this is your time to put yourself over. Give me a few things people should expect in the next couple of weeks. Any future bookings, matches you want them to check out from you, or just in general, what's going on with Shawn Knyte?
Couple matches. Check out all the Wrestling Open matches. You know, we be going crazy up there. Our Summer Stunner matches with Main Event, our match with Above the Rest. I actually a match that I had with Teddy Goods from late 2021 just dropped on YouTube. Go watch that. Coming up, I'm gonna be in California for Mania weekend. It's gonna be my first time in Cali. So,
congrats, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So I've been hitting up a few people, talking, seeing where I could get booked at, and trying to go out there, make some things happen. So yeah, just stay in tune. 2023, my Jordan year. I'm excited. I feel a lot of positive energy coming in abundance. So I'm trying to just keep the ball rolling.
I love it. And you guys, again, follow Shawn Knyte on Instagram at x.shimmy.215. I'll also include his Twitter handle, which is different than this one, right?
It's the same thing. It's just Shimmy215.
Awesome.
I tried to change my Instagram to Shimmy215. If y'all can, get me right and report whoever is not using that account name, because they have 0 pictures, 0 followers, and they're following 0 people. They just up there, and I need that name.
All right.
So, team me up, please.
Let's do that. Let's figure that out. So if you guys want to help Shawn Knyte out, first and foremost, buy a Haven sweatshirt. Second, make sure you check out his matches and say hi to him next time you guys see him at a booking and wherever he is. He's all over the Northeast. Like I said, check out his Instagram and all the socials to find out where Miracle Generation at large will be. You do not want to miss it. But again, Shawn Knyte, thank you so much for joining me, man. This has been a pleasure. Welcome anytime. Next time I see you, make sure to say what up, and we'll catch you next time. So, guys, this has been Visits the Tavern. For Shawn Knyte, this is Acefield Retro. We'll catch you later.